The morning air in a small town in Montana, USA was cold and quiet. People walked past the old wooden bench outside the hospital without noticing the fragile man sitting there. His name was Arthur Bennett, and he was 100 years old. Arthur wore a clean but worn-out brown coat. His white hair was thin, and his hands trembled slightly as he held a small envelope. Inside that envelope was an invitation. Today was his 100th birthday, but no one had come. Arthur had spent most of his life alone after his only son, Michael, died in a military accident nearly 40 years ago. Since then, birthdays had become quiet and lonely, but this year was different. The hospital had promised to arrange a small celebration for him in the town hall later that afternoon. The problem was the invitation said, "A family welcome." Arthur stared at the empty street and whispered softly to himself, "I wish Michael were here today." At that moment, the peaceful silence was broken by the distant roar of motorcycles. A group of around 15 bikers rode into town. Their leather jackets carried the unmistakable patch of the Hells Angels Motorcycle Club. Most people stepped aside nervously as the loud bikes stopped near a diner across the street. Arthur watched them carefully. Big men, beards, tattoos, heavy boots, not exactly the kind of people most townsfolk would approach. But Arthur slowly stood up with the help of his cane. His heart pounded as he walked toward them. The bikers noticed the elderly man approaching. One of them, a tall man with a gray beard named Rick, removed his sunglasses. "Morning, sir." "You all right?" Rick asked gently. Arthur hesitated. His voice was soft and shaky. Can I ask you something strange?" The bikers exchanged curious glances. Rick nodded. Sure, old-timer. What's on your mind?" Arthur held out the small birthday invitation with trembling hands. My son passed away many years ago," he said quietly. "Nan, today the town is holding a birthday gathering for me." The bikers listened silently. Arthur swallowed hard before continuing. "I was wondering, would one of you maybe pretend to be my son for a few hours?" The words hung in the air. For a moment, no one spoke. Then Rick slowly took the invitation from Arthur's hands. He read it. His expression changed. Rick looked back at the old man and said softly, "Yes, sir. "Oh, boys," he said loudly, "looks like we've got a birthday to attend." A few of them smiled. One biker laughed. Another said, we just became family." Arthur looked confused. "What do you mean?" Rick placed a hand on Arthur's shoulder. You didn't just ask one of us to pretend to be your son." He pointed toward the motorcycles lined along the street. "You just got 15 sons." Arthur's eyes filled with tears. That afternoon, the quiet town hall was buzzing with surprise. Residents expected a small birthday gathering for a lonely old man. Instead, the doors opened and the group of leather-clad bikers walked in proudly beside Arthur Bennett. Rick gently guided the old man inside like a protective son. Another biker carried a birthday cake. One brought balloons. Someone even found an old American flag to decorate the table. The room fell silent. People stared, but then Arthur spoke proudly to the crowd. "These are my boys." The bikers stood beside him like an honor guard. During the celebration, Arthur laughed more than he had in years. They listened to his stories. They sang "Happy Birthday" louder than anyone in the room. One biker even saluted him when he learned Arthur had served in the Korean War. When the cake was finally cut, Arthur wiped tears from his eyes. "I asked for one son today," he said softly. "But God sent me a whole family." Before leaving town that evening, Rick landed down and hugged Arthur. "We're passing through again next year," he said, "so you better still be here for 101, Dad." Arthur smiled wider than anyone had seen in decades. Because for the first time in many years, he wasn't alone anymore.